Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. This is Opinions and A-Holes, where everybody have an opinion and A-hole. It's just that some of our opinions have us coming off as A-holes and we're just simply telling the truth. Now, I'm coming down a little bit because I struggle with this thing called spirituality and being righteous unto the Lord and to the divine one who I call my father. I call him the divine one because I never had a father, but always was a son. Now I'm sitting here looking at my sweatshirt today. I just got finished walking, and I guess they grease spots. I don't know. I ain't tripping. Whatever the case may be. I wanted to remix something before I get into the biblical aspect and the thing that I'm trying to do, which is help enlighten, open up people's eyes and have them understand and get wise that being mean and being unkind and disrespectful and having his face on all the time ain't nothing cool. But before I get into all that, I wanted to remix my response to Gillie Wallo. Go things that they thought was the greatest of all times to them too, Gillie Wallo. So with that being said, right, I was having sometimes when they got to the topic of the best buddy movie. The best buddy movie. I had said 48 Hours. I was completely wrong because the whole premise of me making my video was things that have to do with Philadelphia. For Gillie Wallo to always be shouting out Philly, your whole spiel and your whole greatest of all times, even though I get it, the equivalent of what I'm saying is like certain people stick with certain people. Like New Yorkers ain't gonna never say something in Philly is good. They gonna say a chopped cheese is better than a cheesesteak. They gonna say all the best drug dealers came from Harlem and Brooklyn and the Bronx and all that. That's what they gonna stick firm on that because New York stick firm to New York. You'll never see Jay-Z wearing a Phillies hat, but you see cats from Philly wearing the Yankees hat because they trying to be like Jay-Z, the one who supposedly made fitted hats popular. Okay. The bottom line is, I had hoped for Gillie Wallo to have their greatest of all times is more Philly centric. So that's why I made the one I made, but I missed a couple of things, and one of the things was the greatest of all time buddy movie. It was Trading Places. I couldn't get it that day. I was having about it sometimes. I couldn't get it. It was Trading Places. And Trading Places was made in Philadelphia. It was Eddie Murphy's. I don't know. I believe, if I'm not wrong, Trading Places, no. 48 Hours was first. No, I'm not sure. I can't remember. Anybody out there who want to do the research and figure it out, I just remember seeing them both. It seemed like it was back to back. So I don't know if Trading Places came first or 48 Hours. Nonetheless, no, it's 48 Hours, then Trading Places, then another 48 Hours. That's the order of how the movies went. Trading Places was made in Philadelphia. They showed a lot of the Philadelphia monuments. They showed the art museum. They showed Rittenhouse Square when the cops rolled up on them and picked Eddie Murphy up off of the roller, the dolly he was using, in the bricks in his hands to act like he was a man with no legs. He got his legs. I was over there. I was all those places. Gang bang, bang gang, gang bang, sang bang. I was all those places, man. I was Agent Orange, man. Agent Orange. That was made in Philly. So that was one thing. And the other thing was the worst Philadelphia athlete of all time. The worst Philadelphia athlete of all time. It was not an athlete. It was Harold Katz, the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers. Harold Katz traded what would have been Brad Daugherty, the #1 pick, to this was after we won the championship. He traded the #1 pick, which would have been Brad Daugherty, to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Roy Hinson. Roy Hinson, who pretty much when he got to the Sixers, he was old when he got to the Sixers. He was in the late 20s, early 30s, and his knees was bad, and he'll have a good game this weekend and a bad game next week. So it's not an athlete. It's Harold Katz, Gillie Wallo. Harold Katz was the worst Philadelphia owner of all time. The former owner of the Philadelphia 76ers. Everything else I stand firm on. And I'm always gonna big up Will Smith, because Will Smith, if you meet him, if I see him today, he gonna say, "Hey, what's up, Rob?" I ain't seen him. The last time I seen him was 20 years ago, I guess. And when I saw him, I ain't think he remember who I was. He was like, "Hey, what's up, Rob?" I was like, "You remember me?" He was like, "Yeah, we used to play basketball in the old gym, and we used to run up the wall and dunk the ball. Yeah, I remember you, man. You was pretty good, man. You was pretty good." So I'm always gonna big up him. I don't care who he sleep with. I don't care how his wife is. That's his problem. But as a man and as a decent human being, Will Smith has always been cool, level-headed, down to earth. He ain't on no Hollywood stuff. Only time when Will come to Philly, the only person you see him, it was Charlie Mack, the first out the limo. That's who you see him with. He don't be with an entourage. Will Smith walk up and down the street like he not Will Smith. Whereas though I have stories to tell about that. Like, I'm just gonna tell it real quick because it's funny. I had a lawyer on between Broad and Walnut and 15th and Walnut. So it's Broad, which would be considered 14th Street, then 15th Street, 16th Street, so on and so forth. That's how the numbers go in Philly. From east to west, they go high. From west to east, goes low. All right? Then you got north and south. You got South Philly, which is all the way down by the stadium, all the way to North Philly, all the way to when you pass Broad Street, that's North Philly. When you come south of Broad Street, you come south of Market Street. All right, let me get it right. When you go north of Market Street, where Broad and Market intersect. When you go north of Market Street, that's north. When you go south of Market Street, that's south. So the gist of it is, I was at 14th between Broad and Walnut and 15th and Walnut, and my lawyer was there. I ain't like him. He was a jerk. He was a jerky lawyer. So he was like, "Yo, man, I can't, you can't just pay me, but I can't take a check from you." I was like, "What?" He said, "I can't take a check." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Because I'm just not going to take a check from you." I said, "Would I do something?" I said, "You said check, money orders, or cash." He said, "No, I prefer you get cash or a money order." And I was pissed. So I went out and I walked out the building, and I was looking for, because I don't like paying ATM fees. So I was looking for my bank, right? I was looking for the Wawa. It was a Wawa down there. This was like 20 years ago. So I'm looking. I'm like, man, damn, man, I got to pay these ATM fees downtown. Back then it was like $2.50. You call me cheap or whatever, but I don't like paying somebody to get my money. So anyway, I didn't find the ATM machine. I messed up the story. Sometimes. On my way to the lawyer's office at 15th and Walnut, I had ran into none other than Steve Harvey. When he first started his radio show, he was trying to be like Tom Jr. and have what he used to have them shows, Sky Show. And Steve Harvey decided to have a Sky Show, but there's a Boyd's, BOYD apostrophe S on Walnut Street, where everybody go get suits and hats, and it's a high-end haberdashery. It's a nice store. So anyway, on my way to the lawyer's office, I saw him, and he had 4 white hats around him. White hats are considered captains. So he had 4 of them around him and 2 other people, and he was in the middle. He had on the hat, and he had his head down, and he was on the phone like this. The traffic is on that Walnut Street runs west. So all the traffic was going this way. He was walking down and the traffic going this way. So he's holding his head down and everybody knows it was him. And people was like, hey, Steve Harvey. Hey, Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey. Hey, Steve Harvey. And people were screaming out his name, but he had his head down. He never reached his head, lifted his head up and said, hey, y'all, what's up? What's up? He was on his phone conducting some business. Now, for me, I would have acknowledged the people, but he was handling some business, so I get it. He was using his time to handle his business, so he didn't lift his head up. And then when I'm walking behind these 4 cops, it was like 4 white hats, and then a cop in front of them and a cop behind them, and it's like 6 cops, and I'm walking behind him. The cop kept looking back at me. I said, "What you looking at?" And he was like, "Yo, you're getting too close to Mr. Harvey." I said, "Man, fuck Steve Harvey. I ain't worried about him. I'm trying to get to my lawyer's office at 15th and Walmart, and y'all blocking the whole path with this clown." So anyway, lo and behold, I went into the lawyer's office. The lawyer told me to go get some money. At the time, I was with Bank of America, so I missed the story all up. I want to be correct and accurate what I say. So the Bank of America was, I believe, it's still at the corner of 15th or 16th and Walnut. And I went to the Bank of America, put my money, put my ATM card in, and got some money out. As I was doing that, as soon as I pulled my card out, I turned. I see Keith Sweat and his brother, or Keith Sweat and one of his friends, but he had on like a fly sweatsuit, some fly sneaks, and he didn't have no shades on, and he was just walking down the street just chilling. I said, "Yo, Keith Sweat, oh my man." I said, "Yo." He was like, "Hey, what's up, man? How you doing, man? What's up with you?" He dapped me up. We did the little hug thing. I said, "Yo, man, 88, you was, all I rock was Make It Last Forever, man." I said, "Yo, that tape back then," it was a cassette tape back then. I used to make it last forever. Don't let our love in. You'd be like 2 little birds in a tree. Tweedly diddly diddly dee. Ooh, baby. I think I can sing. But that's what I rocked that tape that whole time. Something, 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 something just ain't right. Oh, something, 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 something just ain't right. I figured Keith Sweat was a bigger star than Steve Harvey in the hood. Okay, that's just my thought. Because Steve Harvey didn't bubble until the 90s, mid 90s, late 90s, 2000. Keith Sweat was banging since 87. Okay, 87. That last year, when we graduated, 87, 88. And when I graduated in 87, that summer, 88, 87, and into 88, Make It Last Forever was banging. And he also had a hand in writing, this side note, he also had a hand in writing Just Got Paid by Johnny Kemp. That song was originally made for Keith Sweat by Teddy Riley, and he gave it to it was supposed to be for Keith Sweat, but he gave it to Johnny Kemp. Lo and behold, Steve Harvey was on some Hollywood stuff. Keith Sweat was just being himself, and he was cool. And that's how I see it. Now, the point of it all is this. I was just trying to add something to the Gillie Wallo video. I don't know if they're going to ever watch it. But if y'all do, number 1 cop movie, buddy cop movie is Trading Places, Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd, because it was made in Philly, and it put Philly in the map as far as movies is concerned. And number 2, worst of all time athlete in Philadelphia is not an athlete, is the late Harold Katz. What I call him great? Yeah, because he did play a hand in us getting the championship in '83. But for the most part, that trade for Brad Daugherty for Roy Hinson was one of the worst trades in NBA history. Facts. So I hope you enjoy this. I went a little long. I was trying to put out I was trying to put out dimes, 10 dimes, but I gave you a little bit more because I just like doing it. I like putting things in context and explaining clarity. So please subscribe, like, whatever feedback you give me. I count it all joy, and I thank you for watching. But please subscribe to my channel, like the videos. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm trying to help. So this was just for fun. The next one's gonna be for real, because it's about kingdom business and about saving lives. And it's gonna be about the young lady who was going back and forth with Mike Epps at his comedy show. So I'll talk to you in a minute. I hope this entertains you, enlightens you, and make you realize that every nigga is a star. Peace.